Hey everyone, welcome back to Developers Garage, a channel where you come to explore software technologies, patterns, practices, new, old, current, and anything that can make your software development experience better. I'm your host Ryan, and a few weeks ago I had the opportunity to sit down with Sean Stiefel, Senior Automation Engineer at Valorum Reply, and talk to him about DevOps and what it means for you and your organization. If you enjoy this video, let me know by hitting that like button or commenting below. There's a lot more great content on the way, so be sure to subscribe. Also, I'm live coding over on Twitch almost every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at twitch.tv/developersgarage. So let's get to it. And today we have a special guest today. Today's a special day for us. As we explore DevOps, we have Sean Stiefel here. He is Valorum's own automation engineer. Is engineer correct, Sean?
Yes.
Awesome. So I've known Sean for, I don't know, well, it's been probably 6 or 8 years. We've worked at a couple companies together. So Sean is definitely the guy I thought of when I got this talk on DevOps. So I'm going to go ahead and let Sean introduce himself and tell us a little bit about him and the company he works for.
Well, greetings. My name is Sean Stiefel, and I work for Valorum, and we are a consulting service company, and we specialize in Microsoft products as well as some other platforms. My specialty is DevOps, and I am an automation engineer there in Valorum. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the DevOps and what's available and what to do. And what I'm also going to do is just while I'm talking, I'm going to share my my credentials if I can get the sharing working here. It'll just show up on the screen a little bit of what I do and what technologies I've worked in. And hopefully you'll all be able to see that right about now.
There you go. Yep, I just had to switch scenes. And Skype is, Skype's being Skype. So we are, it does not want to hold your camera settings. So
let me see if I can get my
camera
working.
Your camera's
again.
fine. I can see it. It's just more of it shrinks. OBS is shrinking or Skype is shrinking. I don't know what. But I will work on fixing that while you go ahead and talk.
Okay, so basically the question we would have is, what is DevOps? And to know that question, I'm going to first answer that question with another question: is what is DevOps not? DevOps is not a product. DevOps is not a single individual person's responsibility. It is a culture, and it is a mindset change for the entire company. And in the true definition, I'm going to quote Donovan Brown from Microsoft, and DevOps is the union of people, process, and products to enable continuous delivery for the value of our end users. And we want to be very intent about that description because it's either you're putting both feet into this this culture change or it's going to fail. You have to be very intent about it. You have to make sure that you want to deliver this value for the end users. And that this value is going to bring about a change in how you deliver your products to your end users. The whole idea of that is that you're going to be able to deliver more quality, better, and faster. And more consistently as well. And so that does involve first the union of your people, then including that process and the product in a automated fashion to be able to give the better experience, not only for the customers really, but for your employees or for your fellow workers, to try to relieve that frustration and the pain of releasing a product to the customers. On my screen, I put a nice little splash up there. I actually just threw this together last night. These are all of the products or technologies that I've ever done in my lifetime for getting the experience. Of course, Azure DevOps is smack in the middle there. That is my favorite product for delivering the tools and the products for my customers. But you are not restricted to Azure DevOps. You can use AWS. You can use Google Cloud. There's some other cloud products out there you can use as well, but those are the top three. Or if you're not using cloud at all and you're doing on-prem, you can still do DevOps. You can use Team Foundation Server. You could use Cruise Control. There's many others. You could just be using a PowerShell delivery if you're doing an in-house type of delivery for the DevOps. It is not the product. It is a culture change in how you deliver your end product to the customers. So that is, in a nutshell, what in a definition of what is DevOps. And what we want to be focusing on is how are we going to deliver that, and how are we going to get that up and running in your environment so that you can perform that delivery. And it's going to be a combination of mindset and product and process deliveries. It does work very well with the agile methodology of development to be able to deliver your releases or your updates of your software in what's called sprints. A sprint would be a period of time that you're using to pull your code together and your requirements for your code, and then to be able to develop that code, test it, automate testing, and then deliver that product out on your release dates. And how the DevOps reaches into that is using the process and the tools. So we would, in your sprints, you'd get your requirements together, and while your developers are developing that code, you would have your other engineers, whether it be an infrastructure engineer or your quality assurance engineers, whoever it is that you're having responsible for getting your infrastructure and your pipelines ready to go. They would be building those pipelines and automating the infrastructure, which is also known as infrastructure as code.
Quick question though. So you said infrastructure is. How does that differ from infrastructure as a service?
Infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, is your actual platform or your physical platform of, let's just say, your Windows 2016 server that's sitting out in the cloud as a virtual machine. That would be infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as code is a series of scripts or templates that are utilized to actually build out that infrastructure. So a good example is in the Azure environment, you have what are called ARM templates, or also known as Azure Resource Markup. I believe that's let me make sure I'm speaking truth there. But the ARM templates are basically, Azure Resource Manager templates. And the ARM templates are basically a JSON file. Some people may be familiar with JSON. If you're not, it's a good opportunity to Google that and learn what JSON is. It's very popular now in the developer world. and quickly becoming popular in the infrastructure world. An ARM template is basically an object or a definition of what you want to stand up for infrastructure. It could be a virtual network, it could be a SQL server, it could be a virtual machine. It doesn't even have to really be IaaS or infrastructure as code. I'm sorry, infrastructure as a service.
I mean, how many more acronyms do we need, Sean? I mean, we got
Yeah,
DevOps, we
it
got
could
Azure.
just keep going. That's for sure. And so infrastructure as a service is your cloud environment, and it's an actual physical machine. But you could also have your Azure Resource Manager templates also can be platform as a service definitions, so or paths. So platform as a service could be just your Azure SQL Server instance, which you don't have to control the physical machine anymore. In Azure, Microsoft is going to take care of that for you. They're going to manage the physical machine. They're going to take care of the operating system. They'll take care of any updates, and they'll protect your PaaS instance of SQL Server from any operating system level difficulties or attacks. All you'll have to worry about is the actual SQL Server.
We got a question in our chat that just popped in. Curious Drive asks, which one is better, GitHub DevOps or Azure DevOps?
That's a good question. I am a personal fan of the Azure DevOps. I have played a little bit with the GitHub, but I really feel it could go either way.
Yeah. Well, they're both Microsoft now, right? So
yeah,
that's the other
they
comment.
are both.
Why can't they pick one?
Yeah, I think you could. You could pick either one. It's a personal preference. I think if you're going to be more focused on open source code, GitHub is probably going to be your knee-jerk reaction. You're just going to go straight for it because GitHub is an open source code platform. So it's going to be easier for you to share out. It's not going to be necessarily harder for you to share out open source using Azure DevOps. It's just that it's kind of a natural path. GitHub is still not quite as mature as Azure DevOps as far as integrating with Azure DevOps itself as a platform. So, I mean, really, it's personal preference.
Yeah, so Curious Drive also comments that the GitHub does have private repos as well. So they do offer that,
yes.
that piece as well. So not just public or open source, but they are looking at the business side as well for those private.
Most assuredly, yes, they are. And you could do that. The private, all I'm saying when I said open source is GitHub drove the open source in the public more than really, I would say more popular in the public than any other open source type of platform. So that's all I was saying there is I'm not saying it's strictly open source,
right?
But it is more natural to do open source there.
Gotcha. Yeah. So we have another comment from since you've left our other Sean, our Sean Weitzel, our natural know-it-all here in Tulsa. Now he comments he prefers Azure as well because you can make your own plugins. I mean, since everything's written in TypeScript.
That's very true. Not only that, I mean, you can make your own plugins on the marketplace, but it's a one-stop shop. If you're a Visual Studio guy. Or even a visuals, or if you're just using Visual Studio Code, you can create templates, you can create extensions right there in the marketplace. You can create your own little store, so to speak, right on the marketplace. I don't think it even costs you anything to do that. And you can even start publishing privately for yourself right on there to help you extend and improve the ability for you to deliver through Azure DevOps.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you've got any comments, questions, opinions, leave them down below. I'd love to hear from them and what your take on DevOps is. As always, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Twitch at twitch.tv/developersgarage. You can always bring your questions, comments there as well. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the chat.